Hello, and welcome to Backstage Buzz, where you get the inside story on upcoming events at the MAC. In a little while, we'll hear more about Buffalo Theater Ensemble's production of Season's Greetings from the director Connie Canaday Howard. Then I'll chat with our new Education and Engagement Coordinator at the MAC, Dawn Smith. But first, I'm really happy to welcome Kim Morris to the show, who's here to share more about the beautiful costumes of College of DuPage's theater show, A Christmas Carol. I think I meant to say College of DuPage's Theater Department. Sorry about that. But welcome, Kim.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Kim, tell us about this costume.
Well, this is one of our fezziwig dancers from basically Scrooge goes back in time to see parts of his life that he went wrong, and this is a party at Christmas in about 1812. So we have a whole bunch of people who are danced and ready to have a good time, and this is one of our little ladies, and I just love her.
So Kim, how many people did you tell me were in the cast?
This year we have 59 people, 37 adults and 22 children. And
so 59 plus 22?
No.
22.
Sorry.
So 59 total.
59 total.
So how many costumes do you think total, with the going back and forth and this and that?
It is probably going to be close to 120 costumes. Because we do travel through 3 different time periods. We have people who play multiple roles.
So what are the time periods?
We have the modern, which is about 1860. Then we travel back to...
So present day, not modern.
Present day.
So it starts in 1860.
Correct.
Then we go back to?
1812.
Okay.
And then we go back to about 1795. So we get beginning of Scrooge, Scrooge as a young man, Scrooge as an old man, and we get all 3 of those time periods.
So So to help the audience understand, we're going back in time, the silhouettes of the costumes change, yes?
Absolutely.
With the period. Tell us, what's the big difference they would know? Like, you say you start in 1860. What's that silhouette look like?
1860, you want to think Civil War, you want to think Gone with the Wind, so the giant hoop skirts, lots of fabric, the cute bonnets, capes. Think Dickens. It's the traditional Dickens look.
Okay.
Because that's when Charles Dickens lived, is about 1860s.
What are those hoops made of?
They are actually layers of cotton with steel, spring steel boning in it that hold it out to give you the lovely tiers, and then petticoat and dress. And so there's lots going on there. But they're giant, and so that will really give a good indication of when we change time, because you start out big, then you go slender, and then the earlier time period is just children, so we don't get to see a lot of the big adults.
So when you're making these costumes and you're looking at, because the more fabric, the more expensive.
Yes.
Right? And we do this show every other year. So many of these pieces I would hope you can reuse.
Yes.
But do you end up making new every year?
We end up making some new things, definitely, depending on our cast, because the sizes of actors change all the time. So I want to make sure whomever is cast in whatever role looks as best as they possibly can. Mm-hmm. So sometimes we make new, sometimes, most of the time, we have a large enough stock that we can pull and tweak and make things work. But every year we do end up building a couple things. Mm-hmm.
So when you are making, or you think about those old hoop skirts, what were they made of originally?
A lot of them were whalebone, because the whalebone is flexible and came in large pieces because the animals were giant, but also steel. They would make steel hoops and hold them together with cotton cording. So a cage hoop, a cage crinoline, looks like a giant cage that these women would wear. So they could end up wearing 35 and 40 pounds of clothes between the steel and the fabric and just the trimming. We're not quite that mean. We don't do 5 petticoats on top of it. So I try to be a little kinder to the modern actors who are not at all used to wearing corsets and crinolines and 800 yards of fabric. But it's still a lot of fun for them.
I remember when I was in college and taking costume history, and the teacher brought a hoop in once. And then he also brought in this little teeny stool. Yeah. And I was like, what's with the stool? And he goes, well, he would make us dress in the period. Well, this was an original one with the steel.
Yeah.
You can't move. You can't sit. You couldn't sit. They had to perch on these little stools. And it's amazing now when you think about how constricting those clothes were, you know, in so many ways.
Yes.
You know, and now you're like, they wore that all day? Like, what'd you do?
They wore that all day, and the wealthy people would switch outfits out depending on what they're doing. You have your walk-in dress, you have your dinner dress, you have your lunch dress. So,
A dress you could sit in probably, right?
yeah, yeah. Well, and then they have their lounging gown or their house coat, which is less, but it's still a lot of clothes. Our modern versions are a little bit more flexible, don't have quite as much rigidity to them. But yeah, the perching is a thing.
And when you store them, I've seen you store them, they're on their side.
Yes.
All the dresses collapse like hula hoop, like
Exactly.
a slinky.
Yeah.
Almost, right?
A slinky hung on a hanger, and that's the only way you can store them because they take up so much space.
Well, and I'm sure that impacts the dressing rooms even. Like, you can't
Yes.
put a dozen girls in a small room.
No, thankfully, there are layers of width in our show according to how wealthy the character is. So we have a couple, Fred's partiers are wealthy people, so we've got like 6 women in hoops, and then we've got the sellers on the street who are just lots of petticoats, so they're not 6 feet wide, they might only be 3 feet wide. So that will help our production a lot, is we don't have, most of the cast aren't the wealthy people, so we got lots of street urchins, which is a lot smaller silhouette. But yeah, the dressing would be impossible if everybody were 6 feet wide as they're trying to negotiate the hallways.
So is there any different conceptual thing that's happening this year with the show that's different?
I think Amelia Barrett, our director, she's trying to really capture the light and the color and the fun. So it's
The light and the color of the fun of
just the story. It's a fun story. I mean, it's a ghost story, but it's also, so in the past we've really focused on the ghost stories, and we've had some elements where a little more scary for younger children. So we're trying to lighten even the scary bits up a little bit, so it's not as terrifying. If you're bringing your 4-year-old to the show, it won't be super scary. There's also an element of a snow globe that Fred, Scrooge's nephew, gives him as a gift, and we're using that to kind of be the impetus for the whole story. And there'll be lighting and projections that help to draw it in together to make like the history scenes feel like you're traveling and captured a moment in a snow globe. But mainly focusing on color and fun and the joy of the show and how it finally ends up, and Scrooge getting a new lease on life.
So it'll be a more uplifting version of A Christmas Carol?
Well, yes. I mean, Christmas Carol is always uplifting because Scrooge.
Well, the end is.
Right.
The end, I hope, is uplifting, but it's supposed to be going back and going, oh my gosh, I messed up, right?
Exactly. Yes. And it still will be that.
So what about the ghosts? The ghosts, what's different about the ghosts? Anything?
I don't know that they're going to be, well, okay, so Jacob Marley is not going to be as terrifying as he is in the past. The actor himself is a giant man. He's like 6'4". He's a big guy. So we have used blacklight in the past, which is actually pretty scary on stage, but it is also limiting for the actors because you have to be contained in an area, because the black light itself only works if it hits the face,
right?
Or if it hits the thing that has a black light treatment. So we're stepping away from that just to take him into a regular ghost instead of a glow in the dark ghost. So that is the little difference there. But our other ghost, we have Past, who's going to be sparkly and white, and she's this very angelic.
This is the Ghost of Christmas Past.
Correct.
Okay.
Ghost of Christmas Past is a very sparkly, angelic dancer woman who is light on her feet, and so she is the ghost of Scrooge's past. So I have her dressed kind of about the year Scrooge would have been born, which is about 1795. So think Marie Antoinette, like big tall wig,
okay,
and panniers, which are the side pocket. So that she's very rectangular, but she's also going to be light and sparkly and dancy. Christmas Present is Ghost of Scrooge's present. So she's got a huge oversized hoop skirt, and she's this giant woman who comes in on a platform, and children come out from under her. And
out from under her dress, right?
Yes, yeah.
So there's fun special effects.
There is lots of fun.
And the show's an hour long.
Yes.
And it begins right after Thanksgiving.
Yep.
To get everybody kicked off in
Black
the holiday
Friday.
spirit.
Black Friday.
Be here. Well, thank you all. Thank you for coming and for bringing one of the costumes along. It's really lovely, and we're excited to see what you do with it.
Thank you. I'm excited too.
College Theater's A Christmas Carol begins right after Thanksgiving, so make sure to get your tickets soon. Thanks for coming, Kim.
Thanks for having me.
Don't miss Buffalo Theater Ensemble's Season's Greetings. This hilarious story offers an entertaining look at the anxiety and hijinks of an average family during the holidays. Performances begin on November 17th. Be sure to visit the CCMA for Aaron Washington's I Think We're Alone Now. The exhibit features multimedia works inspired by the isolation and surrealism of the 2020 quarantine. The show is open now through November 20th. For tickets or more information, visit atthemac.org or stop by the box office or call 630-942-4000. I'm happy to welcome back Connie Canaday Howard, who's here to tell us more about BTE's production of Season's Greetings. Welcome, Connie.
Thank you.
So how does it feel to be back on campus?
Great.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah.
Normal.
Yeah. I've needed to be here for several events. So the first couple times when there were lots of cars in the parking lot, it was weird.
Was it?
I was like, I'm late to class. But yeah.
So tell us about Season's Greetings.
Season's Greetings is by Alan Ayckbourn, and it's considered one of his classic pieces. So Ayckbourn is often compared to Neil Simon in the United States. He's UK's, one of UK's premier comic writers, primarily. And it was first written in 1980, and it premiered at his theater, at the Stephen Joseph Theater, and with his ensemble. And then they moved for a 2-week run on the West End. And it was pretty successful, actually, but he felt that in a larger theater it lost some things, so he rewrote it the next year, and it premiered the next year. And since then, it's become one of his most produced pieces around the world.
Is there a show that we might know, like recognize that he's written or?
Communicating Doors, Absurd Person Singular, it's so many, and I'm not thinking
But he's a comedy writer.
Correct.
Fun.
Witty, UK comedy, right?
Right.
But witty. So, and Season's Greetings sort of becomes so ridiculous in moments that it becomes farce. It's not a farce, but there are moments that are farce. So it's just
like real life.
Yes,
at the holidays.
It spirals out of control, and it's fun. So
what I think we need to acknowledge is usually you don't normally do a Christmas show for BTE.
No.
And with Warhol coming and the way the load-in comes in, we compressed it and asked you to move your time slot, which you were gracious to do, and we thought, let's try the Christmas show, which I'm actually excited about a Christmas show because people love to go out during the holidays. So for BTE fans and fans at home watching, who is this appropriate for? Is this a family show?
No.
Okay.
It's really not a family show.
Can you bring mom and dad?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. It's it's sort of typical UK humor. So, certainly high school.
Okay.
My kids probably would have seen it in elementary school, but my kids saw everything. So, most people would say high school. Some parents may be okay with it with junior high age.
Okay. But there's no nudity, right?
There's no nudity. There is
language.
Really light language. It's really sort of about the tensions that happen in the family, and there is an almost tryst that happens. It gets aborted, but there's an almost tryst that happens under the Christmas tree, actually, and a hilarious puppet show. But we never actually see the puppet show. We see him setting up to do this elaborate puppet show that he does every year and bores everybody with. This is the uncle that never had kids, and he spends hours working on this puppet show, and it's hysterical. Last year was, which we never saw, of course, was Alibaba and the 40 Thieves, and he had all 40 thieves. And so this year everybody's going, what is it? And it's the 3 little pigs. And they're like, only the 3 pigs then? And he said, yeah, and their families and their wives and families. And they're like, oh. So we see the lead up to that. And he does that for the children. One of the conceits of the play is that we hear about the children.
Okay.
And they're evident in the house, but we never see them. We see the adults who really sort of become children in their interactions with each other. I have 2 sisters, and and we love each other deeply, but I can vouch for the fact that sometimes you sort of resort back to childhood
roles.
Yeah, and silly things, particularly over extended amounts of time. And this is 4 days. It's Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, Boxing Day, and the next day after. So they're tripping over each other in this house. So
how many families?
Let's see, it's Neville and Belinda's house, and they have 2 kids we never see, and then Patty and Eddie who join them, who are friends, and they have 3 kids that we never see, and then Neville's sister and brother, and Belinda's sister and Neville's uncle. So it's 9 adults.
Oh, it's a big cast.
Yeah, and then the 5 kids we never see. So, and the writer who comes to join Rachel, he's one of the 9, who sort of is the mysterious, attractive, new best-selling actor that everybody is sort of tripping over themselves about.
So it's about a family at the holidays,
yes,
basically,
yes,
and all the antics that ensue
yes,
leading up.
Yes.
So it's what I like about this is it's something totally different.
Yes.
This isn't your typical, Christmas Carol,
right,
Nutcracker, which
right,
we're doing in our great, but we always have our traditional,
right,
and this is kind of fun because it's something
right,
fresh and different that you haven't seen before, and it makes me want to see it,
sure,
because I'm like, we all want a new holiday story,
right, right.
We love our traditions, but it's fun to have something different.
And even these people, who have these moments of this, nothing lasts very long. It moves very quickly, but it really is, they choose to spend the holiday together. They're not
sure,
forced. They love each other. So ultimately, it's a loving, dysfunctional family. So,
like everyone.
yes, yes.
But what you were saying about when families come together, I always say this with my sister. When my sister comes into the play, because she's older than I am, it's like the pecking order changes, right? Everything changes, yes, when she's there. Or my brother then comes in and she's still in charge, then my brother, then, and then my niece, and then the dog. I got nobody really under me. But it's funny how the pecking orders change, yeah, and they stay in that family dynamic,
yeah,
no matter what.
Yeah.
It just kind of stays.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
So when do you start rehearsing?
Wednesday, 2 days from now.
Are you ready?
Oh, yeah. I've been chomping at the bit, and I think everybody's been sort of chomping at the bit. I've been getting emails and texts, and so it should be fun.
What's your process like? So what's first week like?
Well, first, it's going to be slightly different on this because it's fast and furious. We open on the 17th with a preview. So I always pre-block, but I never give the pre-blocking. And we move through, and then I fix things as it happens. But if we get in a tough place, I can refer back to what I had thought about. Mm-hmm. In this case, it's like directing a farce, and it's a big, big, beautiful set. So I am doing pre-blocking. So the first rehearsal is a read-through and talking through research, et cetera, and then Thursday we're up and we're working, we're blocking. So by the end of the first week, it will be rough blocked, but we'll have the first act rough blocked. So yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
How many weeks is your rehearsal period?
It's the 5th week is tech and opening. So technically 5, but really 4 before we start.
Right, because 5, you're not talking acting, right, you're talking getting your light and
right,
where's this chair
right,
go, and
right,
my costume doesn't fit.
Right. And coordinating there are mechanical toys that go off at the wrong time, and lights and sound for the Christmas tree, because Neville is an inventor of sorts, and so one of his presents for his kids on Boxing Day is the lights and the sound at a decibel level keeps going off, and it interrupts people at different moments. And And Uncle Harvey's retired as a security guard. He was a security guard for 37 years. So he thinks the whole world is going to shit. Excuse my language. And do I need to redo that?
No, we're like on cable. We're all good.
And so he's prepared for the attack, and everybody's going, watch out for Harvey. And so, you know, it'll be fun.
So the logo of the show is like a bomb. Looks like that. Looks like an ornament's a bomb if you look closely. Is there a bomb in the play?
No.
Okay.
They think there might be a bomb.
All right.
They hear a ticking and they can't find the ticking. And it's a present that Uncle Harvey has given to one of the adults that he really wants to needle. So every year he gives him something that's just going to drive him crazy. And it's I won't give it away, but it's something that is meant to drive Bernard crazy, who's the guy who's made the puppet show.
Okay.
So
maybe you should hide his puppets.
yes. Well, he does at one point. He sort of protects them from somebody sitting on them because he's put hours into these marionettes, you know. So anyway.
Well, it sounds awesome, and we can't wait to see it. Thanks for coming on and talking about it to us.
Thanks for having me.
So be sure to catch Buffalo Theater Ensemble Season's Greetings, opening November 17th. For tickets or more information, visit atthemac.org. Don't miss your chance to see College Theater's production, A Christmas Carol. The 70-minute telling of the treasured tale of Ebenezer Scrooge is a perfect family event to usher in the holiday season. Performances run November 25th through the 27th. For tickets and more information, visit atthemac.org. Stop by the box office or call 630-942-4000. I am pleased to welcome Dawn Smith to the show. Dawn is our new Coordinator of Education and Engagement at the MAC, and we're so happy to have her on our team. So welcome, Dawn.
Thank you.
So Dawn, in your past life, which was like a month ago, your old job, you were the Executive Director of the Chamber in Glen Ellen.
Yes, I was.
And now you're our new Community Outreach and Engagement and Education Coordinator. How are you liking your switch?
I'm loving it. It's just very exciting. Everything's very impressive with the college and the MAC and the theater, the people, and just the theater itself. It's very impressive, yeah.
She has to say that, right? But we're glad to have you because you know the community and you know so many people all throughout DuPage County, which is making this, in many ways, you're probably dealing with a lot of the people you dealt with in your old job, yeah?
And it's true. One thing that I had is some really great relationships, so it's really nice to keep those relationships and then reuse them for, you know, a full DuPage experience and with the MAC.
Yeah. So your new job, tell everybody what your new roles are. So you do some for education. You're not teaching, but you're helping to promote.
Right. So part of the position is helping promote all of the academic arts. So that would be music and theater and dance and visual arts. So for example, there are, and something that I didn't know, which I think everybody should know, is that there's a lot of theater productions that the students put on that are really great performances and really like a cost savings too. It's very easy to get to. There's also a lot of music recitals and productions by both students and staff. There's even every Friday, there's Music Fridays at noon in the MAC building in room 140, and those are free, and just a lot of really great programs out there that are for the community.
So to be exact, there's almost 60, which is pretty amazing, that are under $15, from $8 to $15. And coming up in December, is really, so at the end of December and then May, there's a whole string of recitals because everybody's doing their final recitals and performances.
Yes.
So you're helping to promote all those.
Yes, so we try to promote all of them, and again, they're student ensembles, they're faculty recitals, there's specific between choral and guitar and band and jazz, and there's just a lot there for your friends and family to enjoy. Yeah, it's great.
And then the student theater has shows that go on for 2 weeks. They're doing Christmas Carol this year, which is awesome. And I think what's nice though is when you see the students perform, their energy is just so pure. right? And they're so invested in what
Yeah.
they're doing, and that's always fun.
And one thing actually that's also impressive, and Kim was here earlier, but it's a student program, and the sets and the costumes are amazing. You know,
Because they're all done by professionals.
they're professionals.
So the
you
MAC
know?
staff, for those of you who don't know, the students, the faculty directs the students, but the MAC staff does their lighting, their sound, their tech, their marketing, their box office, the costumes. So it's all professional grade levels tech that supports their shows, which is great for the kids because they get this really professional experience.
And another thing that I didn't know prior to this position, which I think everybody, is that there's talks the Thursday before and the second Friday after, that you get to meet the staff and the design and the directors and all of that to really understand. So especially if you have someone interested in theater, you really get some background on how it's done. So I think that's really great.
And I think, you know, because we're a college, our brand is always to educate, entertain, and inspire. And all those pre-show MAC chats, even before a regular MAC show, tries to give our audiences a little bit more added value in terms of, I really do think when you're connected to the artist or the art form or the period or something, you appreciate it differently. Like, I bet if you go see Christmas Carol, you're going to look at that costume and go, I saw her talk about, or when you see the period, things change. You know, it clicks.
Exactly. And then in addition, I help with the student stage. And with the student stage, they're for grade schools and up.
School stage,
School
yes.
stage.
The
And there's
field trips.
Study guides. And so there's study guides for a lot of them. Like there was a study guide, I didn't even know that there was one for Clybourne Park. There was a study guide in there too. So I think all of those things to really understand what you're going to see before you see it gives clarity, and the creativity that you see just becomes more understandable and fantastic. Yeah.
So you're also working on another tiny little project called Warhol.
Yes.
So tell us what you're doing for Warhol. Tell everybody about that.
So I'm super excited about the Warhol exhibit coming up. My previous position when Frida came to town, it was a highlight to really try to get everyone involved. And so now I'm in the position where I'm trying to get everyone involved in all of DuPage County. So we're trying to get partners as far as promoting restaurants and retail and hotels and experiences. And with all of the tourists that are expected to come in to see Andy Warhol, to get those into the DuPage County restaurants and have the economic impact really understood.
I think what made Frida so fun, for those of you who remember or saw Frida, was the full experience of it. And we worked with Wheaton and Glen Ellen and Lyle and had such a great experience that we wanted to expand that. And that's when we brought Dawn in, because we're like, she'd be perfect. She already knows a lot of people in DuPage County, and to really kind of take those partnerships and specials and then co-promote with anybody who wants to partner. And so what we've come up with is a pop art challenge, and we're trying to make DuPage County go pop all during the summer of 2023, and just have a lot of fun with it, so that when we have people come into town, they'll go, why is your whole town pop? Or why does it look like Andy Warhol? And then people talk about the show. But not just so the tourists get excited about it, but so the whole community can celebrate in this very unique opportunity that we're going to have 200 pieces of original art in our county, which is kind of unprecedented, of Warhol stuff, and honor one of, you know, really America's greatest artists ever.
Right.
And I think it's just fun for everybody to celebrate, because truth be told, the only people going to Frida Friday were not tourists. It was a lot of people from Wheaton that got out there and celebrated, and Glen Ellen and the local area.
Right.
I think it just makes it fun.
It does. And, you know, one thing that we did notice is that it does bring in tourists, but the community really embraced the activity. It was something to celebrate, especially after COVID. People want to go out. People want something, you know, give me something that is fun and family and, you know, an experience, and people want that experience.
So what's been the hardest part about your new position and transitioning?
Oh my goodness. So I would say a lot of the hardest part is just understanding how everything works and who everybody is. It's
Right.
such a large school and college and program, and just trying to make sure I know what's going on. So I think that's
There's a lot.
the big. Well, it's a lot different than working at a chamber when it's basically you and another person.
Right.
So yeah.
The good news, I remember when I started at COD, I would get lost all the time, and people would say, "There's a meeting in the BIC or at SSC or SRC." Or
It's
I'm
so
like,
true.
Does anybody speak in like words? Like what? I'm like SSR or SC, and then somebody would say SSC or SRC. I'm like, I don't know. They said it so fast, and there's a lot of acronyms. But then once you're here, it is like a family, and there are so many resources, even from like this amazing TV studio and the friends we've made here and the partnerships here, and then we have partnerships at marketing and culinary, and so the good news is it's as big as it is. There's lots of people to support.
Yes.
You know.
Well, after this, I have to get out my college map and find out where the print room is because I got to get something from there.
Well,
so.
I'll show you because we're going to wrap it up.
Okay,
But thank you
excellent.
for coming on the show.
Thank you.
And that's all the time we have for today. So thank you for watching. We look forward to seeing you at the theater and the next time on Backstage Buzz.